Okay, we made it to section 14 of the notes, which is great. It's a tough section now. What I mean by tough section, it's a tough section to understand. Um, so we covered the determinant of a square matrix and some applications of the determinant, particularly invertibility, area, and Kramer's rule. All right. Again, there's a lot of instructors. I shouldn't say a lot. There are upper level instructors at Essex County College that demand that you use Kramer's rule to solve linear systems. Right? I'm not a big fan of it, but the bottom line is it's something you could derive, right? And certainly we went through that. What I'm interested in right now is using Sage. Let's go to Sage. And it's going to be a short section on using Sage. And the only thing I really want to do is talk about how to find a determinant. All right, so let's go to my terminal. And again, you're more than welcome to do this online by going to the sagemath.website and just doing the CoCalc online. Same thing. The only difference is instead of hitting the return after a command, you hit shift return. Right, so reset. Just reset the computer. Not computer, I'm sorry. Reset my instance of Sage, which basically gives me a clean slate. X is a variable. And we've done that a dozen times at least. A is a matrix, and I need to define the matrix with rows and columns, right? So the first row is 2 star X, comma 1, whoops, square. The second row, and again, I'm just looking at my notes over here, is minus X and X. And we certainly defined a matrix before. Remember, if you make a mistake, a lot of students have a tough time matching parentheses, you'll know you made a mistake when you hit the return button. Let me just display the matrix A. There's things we could do with that. For example, you could take the inverse of it. Might seem strange to you. Let's see if you can do it. And it did it. It might look really bad to you. I know that. All right. But I'm not interested in taking the inverse. We've done that prior. What I'm interested in taking the determinant of it. All right. So I'm going to say A dot determinant. All right. Let's see what happens. And I took determinant. What I expected to see 2x squared minus a minus x, which is plus x. That's not bad. All right. So what I want to do is solve an equation, solve. And what am I solving? Well, I'm solving the determinant of A for 1. And I'll go back over and show where this is for x. And what do I get? A half or minus 1. Let me go back over the notes with you, though, and point that out to you. Where we did this, okay? Right here. All right. That's the matrix. And the answer is minus 1 or a half. All right. So I want to see if I can learn from this experience. And what I mean by that is when you're doing the homework, maybe you should try to learn from the experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do this problem over here. All right. But I got some variables to define. And I'll point out what I'm doing. I'm going to just simply say A1, A2, A3. I know it's a lot of typing though, isn't it? A4. I'm going to say they're variables. You know what I'm going to do before I do that? I'm going to clear the screen for you because you might be distracted. Okay, var A1, A2. And again, if it takes you time to type, take your time. We're in no rush. A3, A4. Whoops, sorry about that. Whoops, I did pretty good there. Now let me do, B1, B2, and I'm trying to do problem number 7, by the way. B3, B4. And again, I'm trying to learn from the prior code. So let's see, B1, B2, Oh boy, a mistake there. B2, but I look up sometimes. I see what I'm typing. B3, B4. Whoops, did it again. All right, did okay there. I'm going to define a matrix A now. And A is a matrix. The first row is A1, A2. I'll write that down for you. And the second row is A3, A4. Let me display A for you. It looks pretty good to me. A1, A2, A3, A4. Let's define B now. And B is a matrix. And what is that matrix? Well, let's put the first row in. It's B1, B2. Again, these are variables. And then the second row is B3, B4. And I think some students that are majoring in computer science, they realize that coding is kind of tedious because it's typing. And if you type something wrong, the computer is very intolerant. All right, let's display B, see how we did. Like I say, I did okay. Now, what I want to verify, I'm going to see if it's true. I want to see, if something is true. So what's it say? I don't remember. I want to point out in the notes, I hope you remember something about Booleans. And we've done things before with Booleans. Now, if you can't remember, that's fine. I can't remember a lot of stuff too. Got to go back and look it up. All right, but let me I'm going to type in bool, and I'm going to type in 1 equals 2 minus 1. Is that true, right? Well, that makes sense to me because 1 does equal 2 minus 1. All right. What I want to see though, bool, that stands for Boolean. It's after a mathematician named George Boolean. George Boole, I'm sorry. He came up with the algebra system, Boolean algebra. And let's take a look. So I want to see determinant, and I'm going to do that. And again, you may not remember. It's brand new to you. It's over here. All right. So what I want to do is I want to do A star B, and I want the determinant of that. And I want to see if that's the same thing as the determinant of A star the determinant of B. And that's what they're asking me to verify up there. Sorry about that. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes in typing. I know I said a lot. I do too. All right. True. All right. If you want to do the actual determinant of these things, you can write that down. It can look very complicated. And that's the reason for a computer algebra system. Some things sometimes are complicated. All right. Now, granted, I'm looking at the two, and I don't see them to be equal. It took manipulation. The computer did it for me. It actually manipulated them and verified it was a true statement. All right. So here's the deal. Go back and look at the problems again after looking at that sage if you're interested. And, start saying stuff. I could do these things. I could do Kramer's rule now using a computer algebra system. I don't think I'd want to do that, but you could. And for the most part, determinants, areas, triangles, things like that. You can use Sage to do that. Here's the deal though. You got to do things by hand. Every problem that we've given you, we have done by hand. You're expected to do it by hand. And I'm hoping you're following that. All right. Thank you.